Hello out there, and welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Already. Matt Frazier. Sitting in the co-pilot seat, the great wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How you doing tonight, Mr. Smith?
I'm doing well.
See, the audience don't realize that we've been making some adjustments in the, so we're all proud of the way this sounds now.
We're trying to break the system that we just imposed.
Look, and we're not, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
we
like
managed it. Ian would be proud of us. Ian Stair would be proud of us. Hi, Ian.
Hi.
I don't think I had any show includes here. Our Bond villain, the disembodied Bond villain voice we have, is sitting in the engineering booth with us tonight. How you doing tonight, Mr. Devlin?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, you sound like it. You sound so much better, man. I'm so happy you're like not dying of the plague anymore. It's got to be nice, right? Feeling decent.
Can I just say, I saw an article a little bit ago that 2 people have died from the Black Plague in Europe or something like that.
Like legitimately died of the plague kind of thing. And here I am making fun of it.
How dare you?
I know, I'm a horrible human being. Did you guys see this t-shirt? Speaking of horrible human beings.
Yeah.
Miyagi-Do karate?
Yeah.
Who's got one of them, huh?
Yeah, man.
My
with
son,
the bonsai tree.
My other kid, Kiernan, the other clone of me, really mini me, he when I had my Cobra Kai t-shirt on, he sent me a message. He's like, "Are you wearing a Cobra Kai t-shirt?" And I'm like, "I am." I said, "Yes, indeed." And he's like, "Cool." So now I have a Miyagi-Do one, Kieran.
It's awesome.
Like I said, for show includes, I didn't say this, I'm going to say it now. For show includes, our artist, graphic artist, has been working on the ID cards.
I seen that.
And they look really, really cool. So that's coming together. And there's some stuff that's going to be attached with that that's going to be really interesting as well. So if you go on our Facebook page, or if you're not in the Facebook group, get your ass in the group, get over there and, send me a request, because I'm putting a lot more of this behind the scenes stuff in the Facebook group. And it's like the secret Facebook group or whatever. It's not very secret. I'm telling everybody about it. So if you want to keep up on that kind of stuff, if you want to kind of stay plugged into what's happening, and I'm going to try to get him to start adding more content over there too. Some of the fucking pictures and things you take and send me, I think would be really interesting.
Okay.
Your lunch excursions and stuff like that. So on with the show, gentlemen. I got a pretty good sack of stuff lined up for us tonight. The top quality smart news articles. Let me see here. So this one, I can't remember where I got this from. I think a friend of mine shared it on Facebook, and I saw this, and I'm like, I have to talk about this on the show. This actually comes from Yahoo News. It says 3 judges drunkenly... You know what we didn't do? We didn't do a show question this time.
Oh, my God.
Anybody got one?
A show question.
Or I get too far off the tracks here? We gonna skip it tonight?
No?
I don't think
so. I don't think we should. Let me Google one.
We'll get back to 3 judges. Hang on just a second. I promise. That one's gonna look something up.
I have a spare one ready.
Yeah.
If you don't find one, I have one.
What's that?
Okay. Eric, did you want to say yours?
I don't know. I don't know what you got.
He'll show you his if you show him.
Okay, hold on. Hey. Right here. This one's what I got.
This was so well planned out tonight, guys.
I like it. We can do 2. Do that one.
Okay.
Oh, 2. A 2-banger tonight. Oh, I'm down. Let's do it.
What was your favorite thing to do as a kid?
As a kid.
What age are we talking about here?
Like teenage.
No.
Okay,
No.
Elementary school.
Yeah.
What elementary school?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Well, I can guess yours.
What?
Role-playing games.
No, I didn't play in elementary school. Elementary school ends at grade 5, right?
I always thought it ended at grade
4.
6.
Oh.
For me, it was 5.
She went to junior high school here in Ohio. Well, I don't know where I'm from in Ohio.
I went to elementary 1 through 5, and then 6 and 7 was junior high, and then 8, 9, and 10 was, or 9, 10, and 11, 12 was high school.
Okay, so what age are we settling on then?
Yeah. As a kid, what?
Are we saying like,
kid.
okay, so like, okay, look, I would say like second, third grade, it was all Star Wars all the time.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing to do was go outside and play Star Wars. Either act Star Wars, play with Star Wars figures, whatever. Okay, recreate Star Wars scenes with my buddies in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say same for me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Devlin, exactly the same for what was it?
Actually.
Kind of ironic, isn't it?
No.
They lost their lightsaber privileges.
And I got them back.
Well, yeah, because you're not a raging lunatic with it anymore.
Calls up side quests.
Yeah,
I got so sick of mediating fights between him and his siblings because what started out as a scene reenactment or recreation turned into my fingers,
death fight.
Yeah. So all the lightsabers disappeared one weekend.
Well, it could be worse, but I mean, me and my buddy Sam Anderson, I talked him into fighting with some swords that I had gotten at a carnival. They were like fake swords, but made of metal and kind of pointy.
Okay.
And
oh god,
we did this as dusk was going on, and as it got dark, we could see little sparks coming off the swords when we clashed them together, and we thought that was cool as fuck. So we really got into it.
Yeah.
And both of us ended up getting hurt.
At the same time?
No, somebody got hurt and mad, and then the next person got hurt
and mad.
Yeah.
And then more hurt.
Yeah,
more
you know
mad.
how that goes, right? And then all of a sudden you're chasing someone around the house with a sword.
With a sword. With murderous intent.
Yeah, and someone's mom's calling the cops. It's crazy.
All on the weekend.
Anyways, what was your favorite thing to do, Devlin?
Same thing as Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
We all had this thing.
But he had a Spider-Man phase, too, that I never had. Because Spider-Man was not near as fucking cool when I was a kid as it was when he was that age.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would have been a total Spider-Man freak, too.
Yeah.
At that time.
I grew up with the Tobey Maguire movies.
Right.
They were good. They were good.
That's what I'm saying. You know, we didn't have anything close to that.
No,
Our Spider-Man was really
cartoons.
Was lame as shit. Or cartoons, yeah.
Spider-Man.
And a video game. I think there was a video game for a while, right?
I don't know.
There's a couple of like side scroller beat 'em up Spider-Man games from like the 80s and 90s. You can get them on the SNES and whatnot.
So we settled on 2nd to 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your question then?
If it was possible right now to a decent degree, not just something new, but something established that worked and appropriately did what it was supposed to do, would you guys augment your bodies with technology? Technology like RFID technology, meshing in with the Wi-Fi technology, you know, for instance, like where you'd be walking in a mall and ads would be popping up in your peripheral vision because of your augmented eyes and stuff and your ability to tap into an
augmented
internet.
Reality.
Essentially,
type shit, yeah.
But embedded inside you.
Yeah, so the question is make that, you know, to internalize that technology somehow.
Yeah.
So like contact lenses wouldn't count. We're talking about cornea modification kind of stuff.
Yeah, and chips in your brain because you'd have to have processing and stuff on board and stuff, memory space, and you'd have to have devices that would allow you to, you know, be able to see this augmented reality and interact with it and stuff.
So here's where I think
it'd be very invasive.
I would say currently, and I'll tell you, and I'll explain why my answer is no, but the answer is no, because I can get all of those benefits now without having to implant anything inside my body. Okay, now I already have things implanted in my body. I got titanium pins and stuff like that from, you know, having my ACL replaced. or screws, I guess, not pins, and that kind of thing. And a lot of people have like artificial hips, and that is not a technology per se, like we think of, like having electronics and some, but it is a technology. It's a mechanical technology. So in that respect, I would say absolutely, because I couldn't get that benefit otherwise.
Sure, right. But if it was necessary, you'd do it. But
I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't think that technology and tattoos are kind of the same thing. Those or piercings and technology are the same thing. I think that people that are already okay with those things, to a large extent, like tattoos and body piercings and stuff, personally, that they're okay with those things personally, are probably going to be people who will also be more likely to adopt these kinds of technologies because they're sort of already into body modification as it is. But it's not anything that really turns me on, personally, because like I said, because I can just get those benefits otherwise.
Sure. What about you, Devlin?
Well, I agree with Dad a little bit, but
you're allowed to have your own opinions, man.
No,
I promise I won't chain you to the radiator anymore.
I'm just trying to figure out the best way to like get my point across.
Okay.
Like say it right. I think they could become like tattoos and piercings and.
I'm certain like embedding LEDs so that they can change colors and things is going to be a thing at some sort. At some point, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't you think? Like your tattoos glow and shit. Like
when orcs are around.
When orcs are around.
using CRISPR to make your hair glow in the dark.
Well, that's kind of where this question stems from. Is we had talked about genetic modification a show or two ago, and we also have talked about this sort of modification too.
Transhumanism for sure. I love the cool concept of augmented reality, though. But that requires a continuous. We continue to get more and more capability. We're continuing to have to give up more and more of our anonymity. As part of that, so like. To have augmented reality where these things where you were talking about, like where you can walk through a mall of some sort or whatever, and let's say you have glasses or you have cornea implants, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you would actually see things and ads and people, that's so-and-so, and, it would tell you what their name is. You'd never forget anybody's name again. Those are all tremendous, like, kind of tremendous benefits for interacting with the real
you're
world.
Interacting with somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I see all of that stuff being a benefit for sure, but I don't think but you can get all those benefits. Let's say you're wearing those glasses, those like Google glasses. Well, that's going to have to know that that's you.
Well,
you follow me? Like, so there.
I'm predicating this on that all of these are invasive technologies.
Period.
And that and that it's all running off biochemical energy, so there's no real batteries to charge. It's just you being alive keeps everything running.
Right.
And also predicated on that you emit a radio frequency that interacts with wireless internet technology, so that you're kind of always online unless you shut everything down. So the benefits would be, obviously, you're not carrying any kind of a medium. This is all self-contained. It's all powered by you. And, of course, you're able to have real-time information, just like looking at somebody's Facebook page while you're interviewing them for a job. There's no time delay. You don't have to wait for them to leave and think, well, I think I might hire them. I'm going to check their Facebook first. You immediately have this information, and it would allow to a certain amount of transparency, because people could give whatever information they wanted to. You'd probably find that there would be a certain amount of people that would give everything, kind of like life bloggers that's constantly recording every aspect of their life 24 hours a day, kind of a thing, to people who are extremely private with their information and have everything blanked out.
Yeah, I think that it's I think it's just a foregone conclusion that it's already happening. And this is the way that this happens, is there's a benefit to it, right? So you give up your anonymity because there's a benefit to giving it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you get people to give up their anonymity.
You start look like you're choking at a restaurant. you're able to give medical information to anybody around you so that people know that you're not choking, but you're actually having an allergic reaction to the peas you ate or something.
Right.
I mean, there'd be those kind of benefits too. There'd be like real-time benefits. Nobody has to guess at what's happening to you. If they can see your medical history right away, they have a much better idea.
Yep.
And, so there'd be those kind of benefits too. Obviously, benefits of being kidnapped would pretty much disappear if you have a radio frequency emitting from you that connects to things around you. You would always be locatable.
It would become much more difficult
to
kidnap somebody.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like people would come up with like a EMP type.
Maybe, yeah, some kind of dampening system.
Well, electromagnetic pulse would cook microelectronics and render them pretty much useless.
Yeah, or dampen them with a collar or something. But it would have to take a lot more intent and time and work to kidnap somebody. You would have to really mean it because you'd have to employ those kind of other anti-communication technologies to even do it. So just some bonehead wouldn't be able to do it. You just would have to know a little bit about how things worked.
Yep. Brave new world, gentlemen.
Yep.
Here we go.
Speaking of which.
Okay, so I saw this article. That was good, man. That was worth doing.
I made myself a clip.
You did?
That's crazy.
You want me to get rid of that so it doesn't bother you? It just doesn't matter anymore, does it?
There's no way around it's going to happen with me. That's what I say. I was going to bring her weight down.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So 3 judges drunkenly fight at an Indiana White Castle, leaving 2 shot. Now they are suspended. Now,
they had guns on them?
Well, I haven't read the article yet, but I saw this and I was like, I definitely have to put this on the show. And what I was saying earlier, I can't remember where I saw this. I think a buddy of mine put this up on Facebook or something, and I'm like, oh, that's going on the show. Well, we got to figure this out. So this is from Yahoo News. 3 judges involved in a fight at an Indiana White Castle in May, which ended with 2 of the judges shot, have been suspended without pay after the Indiana Supreme Court determined they committed judicial misconduct. That was judicial misconduct?
I don't know.
Were they holding court in the White Castle? Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I think
judges.
it's a lot of things, but I don't understand judicial misconduct.
No, unless you're just supposed to be
Call
conducting yourself
judges.
as a certain kind of a person. You know what I mean? Like maybe they expect judges not to be in brawls in public with guns.
Right. But okay, so that would be assault and battery, assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder,
and maybe also conduct on becoming a judge.
But just to call it all judicial misconduct is like those kids. I think it's a little more serious than that. Someone was brandishing weapons.
Yeah.
In an opinion issued Tuesday, the court said judges Bradley Jacobs, Andrew Adams, and Sabrina Bell engaged in I'm starting to feel something here.
Yeah.
Engaged in judicial misconduct by appearing in public in an intoxicated state and behaving in an injudicious manner and by becoming involved in a verbal altercation.
Mm-hmm.
In an unjudge-like manner, right.
Yeah.
How'd you say it, Devlin? America. Adam's whole blood alcohol level was approximately 0.157. He was shit-faced.
Brought to you by Budweiser.
Upon admission to the hospital, and Jacobs was approximately 0.13. According to the opinion, Bell's blood alcohol level was not tested, but she was intoxicated enough that she lacks any memory of the incident, per the opinion. I don't remember shit.
I don't know how anybody got shot.
I think that's a weird version of I plead the fifth. Additionally, Adams and Jacobs engaged in misconduct by becoming involved in a physical altercation, for which Judge Adams was criminally charged and convicted, the court said in its opinion. Look at these
Which one's is Adams, the one on the right?
Judge Adams is on the left, and Brad Jacobs is on the right.
Adams was having none of this shit.
They seem like people that should be judging people, don't you think?
I don't know.
Are we people that should be judging people?
What's that?
Are we people that should be judging people?
I don't know.
Of course not. I'm asking a question. Do they look like people who should be judging people?
No.
See how I spun that? So I could feel less of like a shit about it. Adams, who was the only judge criminally charged in the case, pleaded guilty to 1 count of misdemeanor battery in September. He received a sentence of 365 days in jail,
otherwise known as a year.
A credit for 2 days served.
Oh.
The remaining 363 days of the sentence were suspended, meaning Adams served no additional jail time.
Well,
I guess they're saying, I mean, unless they put these guys back on the bench, I think what they're saying is them not being allowed to be judges anymore is like sufficient punishment somehow.
Well, it's definitely a punishment because I'm sure there's a lot of benefits that go along with being a judge.
Yeah, and I always heard that people like judges and lawyers, when they break the law is extremely unforgiving of them because they're supposed to know better.
Mm-hmm.
But if we did this, I think there'd be a lot more than just a year in jail with all but 2 days of it suspended, right?
So.
We
were shooting up the place.
You know? I'm just saying, this seems I don't know. It just seems extremely
slap
weird.
On the wrist, eh?
Yeah. All 3 judges received suspensions, but will eventually return to their offices.
Well, they just got their wrist held out, and they're saying, if you don't quit, I'm going to smack you.
Right.
But they didn't really get smacked on the wrist.
Adams was suspended without pay for 60 days beginning Tuesday, the court said.
Which means he went on vacation.
He will be reinstated as judge of the Clark Circuit Court 1 on January 13th. Jacobs and Bell will both be suspended without pay for 30 days. Beginning November 22nd, they will be reinstated to their respective courts in Clark and Crawford counties on December 23rd.
They staggered their days off. That was smart. So they didn't get to another fight again. Oh, we gave them the same day off.
Holy shit. That's...
Why didn't they tell us what the fight was about?
Yeah, maybe, they're judges. Maybe no one knows what the fight was about. But I have some suspicions.
Probably over the type of beer that was preferred.
That was it. That has to be it.
Yeah.
So this one's from the Technology Review, and we've been, like you said earlier in the show, we've been covering this kind of a lot as a subject matter.
Yeah, I think you brought it up originally in an article a long time ago before we were doing video, and I've been really captivated by it.
It's nuts. But so in a nutshell, so run it down. CRISPR's a protein. You can add you can add anything to that protein that when you inject it in yourself, it'll actually alter your DNA, like flipping switches on a computer.
Yeah, taking parts in or out.
And it's only for the stuff they know. There's a lot of stuff they don't know, but they're discovering the new gene connections for everything from disease to all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, because we already got the genome mapped out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of figuring it out, I guess. And they say it's like surgical in its ability to take a part of the DNA out or put another part of that DNA in. So it's that's the amazing thing about it is there wouldn't be another way to do it mechanically. You couldn't literally slice the DNA open with a knife and then put something back in it. But this molecule on a molecular level does pretty much just that. It's really specific in its ability to target things.
Now, you had illuminated this to me is that there's absolutely no regulation of any medical kind, FDA, of any kind on this right now, and you can mail order this shit to your house.
Yeah, that's right.
And there are people that are currently using it not only to alter the DNA of them of like dogs and all kinds of stuff. They're using it to alter their own DNA.
According to a documentary I was watching on Netflix called Unnatural Selection.
That's it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember before.
Like 2 shows, we couldn't
looked.
remember the name of them. So
good working title.
I found it completely shocking that this is all unregulated. It's like literally the Wild West. No laws, no nothing over this stuff right now. Because why? Because they
It's like identity theft at one point. It's so new
that they don't even know what to begin to regulate.
Yeah, they got to figure out how it's an infringement and then make laws against that type of infringement that can specifically be identified and broken and persecute it to the person that does it. And I think that right now most identity theft gets handled in other ways. Like you're not getting in trouble for pretending to be someone else, but you can be in trouble for like opening up a bank account under a false identity because it goes against FDIC regulations or something like that. Like there's technicalities that they'll get you on if they
eventually.
Yeah,
but they don't even understand it. So how do they even begin to come up with some way of regulating?
And that's
it
been around for about 10 or 15 years. This has been around in the public, as far as I know, for maybe 5 to 7 years or so.
Wow. Well, okay, so based on that, I was extremely shocked that there was no form of regulation or anything on this. I was just stunned that this,
Moore's Law is beating the heck out of us. There's a good example.
Yeah.
Can't make laws fast enough for some of this stuff.
So this is from MIT Technology Review.
Ooh.
One of CRISPR's inventors has called for controls on gene editing technology.
One of the inventors, you guys should probably watch what I'm doing here and make up some kind of laws. There's people that's just taking it and doing stuff with it.
Just saying, it's not that hard.
Nope.
Regulators need to pay more attention to controlling CRISPR, the revolutionary gene editing tool, says Jennifer. Yeah. How are we going to pronounce that? Doudna? Doudna?
DNA.
It is DOUDNA.
DNA.
Doudna. So I don't mean to belittle this woman. No. I agree with what she's saying, but I just can't understand. I need like an umlaut or something there. 1 year on, Doudna, a University of California biochemist who helped invent CRISPR technology in 2012, wrote an editorial in Science yesterday titled "CRISPR's Unwanted Anniversary." The anniversary is that of the announcement by a Chinese scientist.
Hey.
He Jiankui, that he had created gene-edited twin girls.
We talked about this. So it's been about a year since we talked about this.
Yeah. That was a medical felony as far as Doudna is concerned, an unnecessary experiment that violated the doctor's rule to avoid causing harm and ignored calls not to proceed. A moratorium, forget about it. So how do we stop this from happening again? Since the CRISPR babies debacle, scientists have talked about self-regulation.
Self-regulation doesn't normally work when the protein is already out all over the world.
So people are just going to use it regardless.
Yeah. And are.
And this is a protein that can be cultured or something, so anybody can kind of make it?
Yeah, it's not hard to make. Wow. It's I checked the prices on the internet. And
so it's going to have to be legalized and regulated, or it's going to be black market. That's the choices basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it was like between I think $250 and $500 for some of that on the internet, as far as I could see.
Okay, so you've looked this up.
Yeah, there's like a website that you can go to, and you can buy it.
You're kidding. It's just that simple. Just like give them a credit card and they mail it to your house?
As far as I could see. I didn't check into it like super detailed, but it looked pretty much like that. I don't know. Devlin, can you see if you can look that up? It's
Okay, what am I looking up?
Just write by CRISPR and capitalize CRISPR.
One idea was a moratorium, a self-imposed ban of a few years before anyone tries using the technology on the human germline again. The germline refers to embryos, sperm, and eggs, anything that, if you edit it, will cause changes that pass down through generations. But that's not going to cut it, says Doudna.
Okay, what you got over here? Or was you raising your hand, Devlin?
No, he was telling me he was ready.
Oh, sorry.
Do-it-yourself bacterial engineering kit, CRISPR kit.
There you go. There's a kit. There's actually a website. There's another website that I was at that is like an actual supply site, not a kit. But this is the kit I think they were talking about on the documentary. But
so
There's also like a warehouse website sort of a thing too.
It says we ship in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, and this about what 150 is that right?
It's $159
yeah,
US.
It's about 150, 200 then.
This is nuts. Comes with an example experiment that teaches you many molecular biology and gene engineering techniques.
Get them while they last.
Hot, hot, hot. Sunday. Want to really know what this whole CRISPR thing is about, why it could revolutionize genetic engineering. The kit includes everything you need to make precision genome edits in bacteria at home, including Cas9, a bunch of letters.
Yeah, that's the CRISPR protein, I think.
Template DNA, template for an example experiment.
Uh-huh.
I like how this is worded. Includes experiments to make a genome mutation K432.
But you can also make frogs glide and dogs glow and pigs
frogs
sing.
glide?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You
like
know,
fly?
Like flying squirrels glide. You can make frogs glide and dogs glow and pigs sing. I'm being facetious a little bit, but you really can literally make dogs glow.
I'm just tripping out here, man. That you can just like Google this. So you create this thing, and then you have to, like, people are injecting this shit into themselves.
Yeah, like the people finding this stuff is the people probably not spending a lot of time watching porn. It's just so like they're over here like looking at weird shit like, I think I'm gonna gene edit myself.
How do you know that's not why what gene are they looking to edit?
I don't know.
I'm fucking telling you, dude, that when this thing takes off, it's gonna be because of guys wanting to make their schlongs like 12 inches long and shit. It's the same. Like, it's always the same
for the robots.
Like, what?
The what robots?
The sex robots that we've talked about.
We have the hashtag.
We have a hashtag.
There it is. Sex robots. What was I saying? Oh, like like VCRs and VCR beat Betamax out of the business because the porn industry standardized on VHS.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Betamax was a superior technology in almost every way.
Just not as convenient.
But the porn. But if you wanted to watch pornography in your house,
VHS.
you had to go and rent it in VHS.
Get that vertical cylindrical system recorder.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's always, you know what I mean. There's when things like that change. That's how. I mean, a lot of that kind of stuff gets accepted.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, think of the market for dick pills and all of this kind of stuff. Right? It's huge.
Well, the guy that was
No
on
pun intended.
the guy that was on the documentary, he was injecting for strength, muscle mass, which is kind of interesting because that's one of the things that turned up naturally in my DNA report.
Right.
Remember, so he was like adding that.
But but that would benefit you nothing, right?
No, not necessarily. Yeah, because mine's already turned on.
It's already turned on.
Yeah, mine's already turned on, man. I don't need the robots. The robots.
The robots.
The robots.
Hashtag sex robot.
What you going to do with that robot?
Quote, I believe that moratoria are no longer strong enough countermeasures, she writes, adding that there are moments in the history of every disruptive technology that can make or break its public perception and acceptance.
It's funny that you read that paragraph right after we're laughing about buying the kit online. I believe that is no longer strong enough.
Yes.
Right? For $159, it's not strong enough.
Wow, man. Gene editing has uncounted uses. In research, altering plants and making novel human medicines. The toolbox will only get better, Doudna says, and will soon make it possible to introduce virtually any change to any genome with precision.
Yeah, that's the big thing right there, man. Precision. You've got, what do they call that? Tailor-made
pharmaceuticals. Okay, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. You can just go in, like, who needs pharmaceuticals? Just go turn the shit off. It makes you susceptible to being sick to that to begin with.
Right. Who needs to procreate
That's
in the messy
nuts.
way? Let's just go ahead and grow something and turn on the genes we need.
This is the bottle of don't get old pills that I've been looking for, right?
And more. It's the bottle of being superhuman. You know, you're able to regrow tissue. You're like liver tissue. You could regrow a liver, regrow a heart. So not only is it making you more youthful in that sense, but you can have redundancies. You know, you could clone a situation where you've got redundancies. You can regrow teeth. You can, if there was something in your genome that used to be there that's not there anymore, you know how when they talk about recessive genes and you got to get rid of your molar and nobody has
or wisdom teeth or whatever.
Whatever that it might be. You can bring any of that stuff back. If it was in your prior record and still there, you can turn it on. So if you had tails and you wanted to grow a tail, you could turn that gene back on and grow your tail back.
You're not being serious right now. Are you for real?
Yeah, absolutely real.
So you could give yourself like anything that's in your DNA record?
Yeah, anything that's in your DNA
because
record.
There's a lot of shit in there that's sort of just dormant.
There's a lot of shit in your DNA, that's true.
Like the vast majority of it is sort of dormant, right? If I understand that right.
I don't know for sure, but I know that like
frog shit in there and stuff.
Well, gills, for instance,
right.
is in there.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
So you could grow gills, I would pretty sure, man.
Like super soldier type shit. Super, you know,
in that sense, yeah. Like if
you wouldn't have to have people wouldn't have to have rebreathers and oxygen. You could just make soldiers that have gills.
And I believe that's what that sentence is about there when she says the toolbox will only get better.
Well, she says this revolutionary step can improve the well-being of millions of people.
Introduce virtually any change to any genome, any change that genome could undergo. So if a genome could undergo making gills, then even if you didn't have that in your genome, you could use CRISPR to take that part out of a fish and put it in your genome, and thus you would grow gills. When they made the dogs that glowed, they took the genome from a firefly.
Devlin, can you look up the dogs that glow, please? I'm fucking
Have you not
losing.
heard about this?
No, I've not seen any of this stuff, man. I mean, this is really freaking me the fuck out, man. I'm telling you.
As far as I know, they did dogs and
mice and pigs,
and they infuse their DNA with firefly DNA.
So they take the firefly DNA out and they put it in the dog's DNA. They put it in the sperm, right? And some of the sperm will glow with phosphorescence. Some of that sperm won't. The sperm that does, they artificially impregnate a dog with, and then forevermore she'll have that DNA in her and her offspring, and they'll make glowing dogs. And that's just an example. Like, it could have been a lot of different things that they did. They just chose
let me
that.
ask you a question. Isn't aging a function of genetics?
To some extent, there's telomeres on the end of your chromosomes that deteriorate as you gain in age, and that's part of the process too. But there are genes that, but I mean, when you're talking about being able to regrow a heart or a lung, you're almost talking about immortality there, right? Because what makes you die from old age is free radicals. The exchanging of oxygen into energy and food into energy creates free radicals, which riddle the cells in your body everywhere. So if you could regrow the liver, you would be regrowing liver that didn't have all of that free radical damage, right? So you would essentially have a new, young, functioning liver that's genetically tailored to you, and your body's not going to resist it because it's you. It's just a young liver you. So once you're able to do that, you're pretty much
immortal.
Immortal, yeah. I mean, we don't know how it would work with a brain, I would imagine. We wouldn't know because part of who you are is the brain that you had, right? So if they're regrowing one, it may not have the synaptic circuit connections that your old brain does. So there may be that. The brain may be the limitation. I don't know exactly.
Like you would lose your identity or your memories and these kinds of things because when it regrew the new brain tissue.
I don't know if it would. I don't think it would grow it with those synaptic connections.
I don't think that's the way your brain heals, though, right? Because they can restore the gray areas in people's brains. But
but
I don't think they get
the new one.
Yeah, I don't think they get their memories and stuff back. They just get a healthier brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could reset it. You could take off 50 years and just
Man, I don't know, dude. I'm sitting here trying to figure out if that's a fucking bad thing, man.
That's another good question, isn't it?
Another completely new at bat. You know what I'm saying? Like, get to the end and go, okay, time to hit the reset button. Boom, and you're 22 years old again?
Presumably, you'd be like in
24
maybe or something. I don't know, man. That's a good question. I don't know.
This is some trippy bullshit here, Mr. Smith. Jesus, dude, you're killing me. So Mr. Devlin got us this. It says, mad scientists have created a glow-in-the-dark dog.
That dude wasn't angry at all.
This comes from Gizmodo. That fucking dog glows.
Wonder if it's hard to get sleep.
For some reason, crazy scientists from South Korea have created a dog that glows in the dark. Seriously. It's cute, little beagle.
A cute little glow-in-the-dark beagle.
The beagle named Tegan was cloned and genetically modified, so it lights up when you put it under ultraviolet light. Well, that's not the same now, is it?
No, but they do have ones that... There are ones that do glow with phosphorescent.
Splitting hairs here, Eric. We took something that didn't glow in ultraviolet light and made it glow in ultraviolet light.
And look at the
That's
specificity
weird.
of that you can decide if it's how it's going to glow. Is it going to be phosphorescent glowing? Is it going to be glowing in ultraviolet light? That says something right there, man.
That's a trip, man.
How do you want to glow? What do you mean, how do I want to glow?
I still think there's a bit of a leap to take from making a dog glow in the dark to curing Alzheimer's, though. Yeah, but dude, look at that cute little fucking dog glowing in the dark.
Well, he can think that there's a big leap,
crazy.
but while he's thinking there's a big leap, there are people ejecting themselves.
Go ahead, dude.
I've got a better one.
Yep, go ahead. This is mental, man. I didn't realize, and this thing is available, like the cat's out of the bag. It isn't like they can go and say, there's a specific chemical compound that you have to have, and it's really hard to make or something, right? I mean, this is like...
Well, you've seen the kit that you can buy. Now what you need is the DNA from something that glows, right? You could glow, Matt.
I don't want to.
No, your offspring could glow. So could his.
You want your offspring to glow, Devlin?
Glow how?
See, it's his choice. He can choose.
Do you want
phosphorescence?
Devlin, however they want to glow. But I mean, like, if you could, like, make them, photosynthesize or what? No, what's the word of? You emitting. Fuck, I'm losing it here. Yeah, give off light.
Triboluminescence, I think, is.
The name for that when a critter does it bioluminesce. Yeah, that's the word, bioluminescence.
But tribioluminescence is those sea creatures that glow when they're disturbed.
By the prop of a boat,
yeah.
Or the screw, I'm sorry. That's not a prop. Yeah, it's a prop on an airplane.
That's true.
Propellers are on airplanes, screws are on boats. Just saying. So Devlin found this one. This is from Daily Mail UK. Scientists create the world's first glow-in-the-dark pigs after injecting them with jellyfish DNA. Why are fucking people doing this?
Because they can.
What? Have you never seen a bad sci-fi movie? Like, what is...
I don't know. They're turning on intelligent genes and monkeys
doing, and
it's always
in fucking China.
Yeah.
Chinese scientists have created the world's first glow-in-the-dark pigs that emit a fluorescent green light.
Oh, look at
that. But see, that there does look like black light.
It does.
Experts claim that 10 young animals should live as long as any other pig, and that the findings could help develop cheaper drugs for humans. The technique was developed, blah, blah, blah. The same method was used to create the world's first glow-in-the-dark rabbits, blah, blah, blah.
You just keep the list of animals that people have fucked with just keeps growing and growing. There's rabbits, and there's the mice, and the monkeys we turned the intelligence on, and the mosquitoes we left outside, and the pigs that we made glow. I don't know what's going on.
Hawaii, Turkey successfully created a litter of 8 rabbits. 2 kits that glow green when the lights are out in August of this year.
People's on it, man.
I gotta admit, I'd kind of dig a glow-in-the-dark fish.
Says it started in the 80s when glow-in-the-dark mice were created.
So we've got mice, pigs, beagles. South Korean scientists managed to develop cats that glowed red under ultraviolet light. That's what we need.
Glowing red cats.
Could you imagine how much you could freak somebody out that was like fucking tripping balls under a black light, playing Pink Floyd, and you let this cat loose in there?
Dude, your black cat's turning red, Satan red.
It's like chasing people around and shit. I don't know why I went down that road. All right, that freaks me out, man. All of it. Okay, so original shit. Okay, yeah, gene uncounted uses. I'm going to move on. I can't take any more of this.
This lady's like, oh yeah, we got to quit doing this. Someone's going to fuck up, and something terrible's going to happen, and the whole human race will be gone.
I didn't even understand how easy this shit is to get. It's like super simple.
Yeah, you can get it in larger quantities at that other site that I was looking at too.
Because it's a therapy, really, right?
I guess. I don't know what the heck they classify it as.
I mean, my point is from what you learned is you just don't take it once and you grow gills, right? It's something you would have to do over time.
Yeah.
Your body has to grow.
That's the impression that I got. I seen people injecting themselves with CRISPR on the documentary, and it's something that was like a therapy that they were doing again and again. It wasn't just like a one-shot thing.
So I wonder if you stop doing it, if it just reverts.
I don't know. I guess that depends on...
You know what I mean? Like if you grow gills and then you stop taking this thing, does your old DNA... Or does it... Because it doesn't sound to me like it just goes in and flips a bit in your DNA and then that bit's on.
Well, your RNA generally takes care of those kind of changes.
I have any clue what I'm talking about at all anyway. So I really don't understand
RNA
a lot of this shit.
Is a thing that unravels and reforms the double helix of DNA. So it's generally responsible for those additions and subtractions. It will take genes from somewhere else and put them in the sequence, right? So it is possible that your RNA might constantly be monitoring the situation, and that's why you need a therapy. But it could also be possible that at a certain point that therapy is going to establish a standard.
Yeah, because there seems to be some connection between doing this in like pre-birth and versus doing it later.
Yeah.
It seems to be so like when they do the sperm of the dogs that made them glow in the dark and these things, that seems to be permanent then.
Yeah.
But these, like you said, that guy is constantly pretty regularly takes this thing.
Or maybe it's a matter of how much he was injecting himself with. I wasn't clear on that. It could be that if you could use one injection if you had enough.
This is trippy, man.
So I don't know.
Well, we'll keep following it. I mean, we're obviously super interested in it, so I guess
because you guys should know.
Come with us as we try to figure this out. So I got this one from Mr. Smith,
which I got from Mr. Reed Dillashaw.
Oh, that's right.
Hi, Reed.
So don't be afraid to send us interesting stuff. It doesn't mean we will put it on the show, but we might.
Mm-hmm.
A spooky effect of physics that Einstein couldn't believe has been photographed for the first time. Spooky action at a distance. Spooky, right? Is where that's coming from.
Which has to be as important as the picture of the black hole that we took. In both cases, there's a lineage of science that leads to a photograph that could be considered hard evidence, right? Because both of these things started off as theory, and then both.
Gotta be honest.
Yeah.
This looks like 4 people set their naked butts on a photocopier and hit the print button.
Yeah. Well, the fundamental constituents of the universe is not impressive, man.
And it's under no obligation to make sense to me whatsoever.
Nope.
The black and white photo above isn't much to look at.
Yep.
However, the ghostly eye-like shapes. No. Their asses illustrate a strange phenomenon that rattled Albert Einstein so much that he died disbelieving it could exist at all.
This is true.
But he coined the phrase spooky action at a distance, didn't he?
Yeah, but that was the thing, man. Spooky action meant it was kind of woo-woo, you know? Spooky action. He said that it also caused him to say
that he was saying that it was like a legitimate thing and that the only way he could explain it was spooky action at a distance.
Yeah, but
I didn't realize he was like...
He didn't believe the equations. He
wrote the motherfuckers, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's not the first time that Einstein has done that in his career. When he first did his equations for relativity, in his mind, before he did the equations, he believed that the universe was static and eternal and created by God and wouldn't change. He really, truly believed that deep down. After he did his calculations, he found out that the universe was going to be not static. It was going to be either contracting or expanding based on the amount of mass that was in the overall universe, right? So he literally went back through and added what was called the cosmological constant into his
Einstein's
universe.
fudge factor.
Yeah, that he represented with the Greek letter lambda, and he just fudged it. Like it wasn't anything that he just wanted it to be static. And then later on, that concept of the cosmological constant got adopted to explain dark energy. So they kind of recoined that term to mean something that they actually did find that was pushing back against the universe. Because his calculations showed everything was going to pull back together into a big crunch, right? And to keep that from happening, he put the cosmological constant in there. But then later on, Hubble discovered that everything's actually expanding, and that it was going to continue to expand. They found out later, and they didn't know why. And then later they thought that they detected, and maybe did, dark energy, which was pushing stuff apart faster and faster, right?
Now it's cosmic foam.
Yeah. For a while, they were using that cosmological constant in there, to refer to it. I think they were just grasping for a name. They started with dark energy because they didn't really know what that mechanism was making that happen, and then tried to move over into a cosmological constant as a real thing, still using that terminology. And then later on, it's been explained in a lot of different ways, like the foam and stuff.
The image we've managed to capture is an elegant demonstration of a fundamental property of nature, seen for the very first time in the form of an image. Paul Antoni Moreau, a physicist at the University of Glasgow, said in a press release. I'm guessing that's Moreau. Led a team of researchers who managed to create the image, which the group published in a study on Friday in the journal Science Advances. Quantum Entanglement 101. I'm not going to go do Quantum Entanglement 101.
Like they get the cat, though.
We've done many podcasts about quantum entanglement. And there's Schrodinger's cat. Because we cover that a lot. But this is interesting. So how entanglement was photographed. Now we're talking. That looks like a bunch of lasers and shit with mirrors and things.
Yep, and then they split it so that they entangle it first, which is where the beam is together, and then after everything is entangled, they split it, and then they put one through a filter. Like, go back up and you can see it. See, it starts off as one beam, and when it goes through the mirrors, the first set of mirrors, there, it becomes entangled. Then it comes through, and they split it, and then on one end it goes through a filter, and then the other end it doesn't. So when it goes through the filter, if it changes on the other end at the same spot, then they can say definitely that.
I get it. Yeah, that's That's a really simple way, though. You just have to have something.
Mirrors and lasers.
Mirrors that can do it at the very extremely microscopic sort of level.
Yeah.
Okay, so particles of light called photons can be entangled by numerous quantum properties. With their experiment, though, the researchers chose a property called phase. The photons came out of an ultraviolet laser beam, then passed through a special crystal known to entangle the phases of some photons. Next, their experiment split, like you said. One arm of the photons passed through the filter. You pretty much explained it.
Yeah. But they were able to take pictures of it, and those pictures are showing.
So this proves that, we've known quantum entanglement was a real thing.
Yeah, just like we knew black holes were.
But this is the first actual eyes-on video photo of it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's just people in the office, drunk, sitting on the photocopier with a naked
butt. It's the first time we've ever caught actual footage of this.
It's pretty wild, huh? It's very significant read. Where is he?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very significant, but I thought it was funny looking picture.
and I'm sure what they're showing is the spins of the particles.
Yeah,
they have like an angular spin, and there's different ways they can be entangled, and it looks like that they're showing the same spin is what they're showing is the angular momentum of the light, which is causing it to be round, in that hyperstatic equilibrium sort of a way. So the fact that that's happening at the exact same time in both of this, is just showing that these particles are behaving exactly the same.
It's revolutionary, for sure. There's nothing, I agree 100%.
And a small recap on it, the most important and revolutionary thing about it is not so much that you can send information instantaneously, but that anything happens instantaneously. There's a new GIF or video that's going around where it's talking about the speed of light, and it shows the speed of light between the moon and the earth being like this, and then the speed of light between Mars and the earth is more like this, and then it's literally 8 minutes from the sun to the earth,
right?
Like 8 minutes later and then 8 minutes back. So that's just in our solar system. So light, which is the absolute speed limit that anything can go in our universe, is actually really slow. It takes forever to get anywhere at the speed of light. We need something faster. And that's the speed limit of light. I mean, there's nothing can go faster than light, right? But yet, somehow
information can.
The entangled information seems to be instantaneous.
Yep.
If you measure one of these particles at one end, the other one takes on the opposite aspect. So it happens instantaneously and not in 8 minutes. And that's the amazing thing, because there's nothing that we know of in the universe that can do that. We have no idea how it does
it or why it does.
Or what the mechanism is or anything. There's no way to explain it. We see it happening, but we have no idea what's connected, because we've never seen anything that moves that quick. And we can't find any way that these things are connected. And you literally have to have them together, like in that same laser, for them to become entangled, or throwing them through that filter, right? At the same time to make them entangled. So it can happen in nature. And I think I had a metaphor, which is like in nature, everything makes noise, right? And everything can become entangled in that way. But a barbershop quartet, you have to have certain parameters being met by, and you need other people to do it. And it takes a lot more effort than just creating noise. Right. It's like a specialized form. So that's kind of like entanglement. Like, to do it on this level, it's really specialized, because like they passed it through that filter that made everything entangle in a certain way. So, but the fact that these things can switch at the same time, regardless of distance, is we just have no idea how it does it.
It's absolute. Well, we talked about the significance of it with quantum radar, with its ability to like render basically every spy plane technology that exists today completely pointless. Well, like trillions and trillions, billions and billions of dollars. Just
if we can master it, we'll have uses for it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, these are the first steps. Yeah. That's kind of how that works.
Quantifying it, recording it.
Thanks, Reed. Cool article.
Yes.
Yeah, bringing us world-changing, revolutionary stuff. That's the kind of shit I like to put on the show.
I'm surprised that they didn't have as much brouhaha going on about that as they did photographing the black hole. Honestly, I think the big difference there is the macro.
In a lot of ways,
quantum.
They're equally significant.
They are, but because one took place in one lab with a few people, it doesn't seem as big of a deal as the one that took a whole bunch of the people around the world to cooperate in concert to get that picture. Mm-hmm. I think that's the big draw to the other thing. But from a purely science perspective, I think they're both equally as important.
I know you've never seen it, but if people who watch The Big Bang Theory, Leonard Hofstadter, one of the characters on the show, is always working on this weird benchtop laser experiment type, and that's what it reminds me of. It's like the experiment that they were play acting with on The Big Bang Theory, and there it is. It like changed everything, and they didn't even know it. Anyway, moving on. Don't tell Lucy, but modern-day apes may be smarter than our evolutionary ancestors, scientists say. I don't know why we would not tell Lucy. She wouldn't care.
Not if she was stupid.
This is from CNN Health. Researchers using a new method to evaluate the cognitive abilities of species stumbled across a surprising finding. Our revolutionary ancestor, Australopithecus, may have been less intelligent than modern-day great apes.
Yep.
You think so?
Yeah. Because, look, they have taught sign language to great apes.
Right.
Who can communicate upwards to 200 words and know what they're talking about, right? They also have observed many primates, including the larger ones, even smaller ones, monkeys and stuff, that have entered into the Stone Age. They're using certain kinds of stones to break open certain hard-shell
they're using tools, right?
Yeah, spears and stuff. There's also the Caledonian crow, which uses tools, and also really smart are cuttlefish, oddly enough. And this is mostly because these species have now had this long period that they can evolve, right? Because they were back then too, right? But they've been evolving, and they say they're now in the Stone Age. So comparatively, if you compare the apes that we now have in the Stone Age against the apes that we had back in her time, they're smarter,
and smarter than we were at that same. That's kind of what they're getting at here, right? They have been smarter than our evolutionary ancestor.
Yeah, but then again, they have their own evolutionary ancestor that weren't
they're
smartest.
Smarter than.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah. So they're going through the same thing we did.
It's long been theorized that a bigger brain means greater cognitive ability, which is generally defined as an individual's overall mental capability and how they reason, solve problems, plan, think in the abstract, and learn from life experiences. If this were go ahead.
And whether or not they pass this information down to their younger, thus actually having a culture that they teach to their younger generations that carry that information on. That's like the definition of culture. So from an anthropological standpoint, now that they're in the Stone Age, they also have culture.
That's crazy. Well,
and we're turning on their human smart genes
and releasing them back into the wild.
Just helping things along.
Let's see. If this were the case, humans would have superior cognitive power, followed in the distance by Australopithecus, Pithecians.
Oh, geez.
Pithecines. Australopithecines.
Woo, good job.
Fucking killing me. The pre-human group that the famously fossilized Lucy belongs to, and gorillas, with chimpanzees and orangutans bringing up the rear of the great ape species. I think they could have chose better phrasing.
Yes.
This may align with what we observe to be true about our own cognitive abilities, but when it comes to those of the other species, things are far less certain.
Hey, finally a scientist with a normal name.
Roger Seymour, who led the study at the universities of
whatever place he was at when he was doing his biological
School of Biological Sciences in Australia, Adelaide's.
Adelaide's.
Hypothesized that a different set of physiological characteristics may, in fact, provide clues to the cognitive capabilities of species, both past and present. It's not just about size, it's about energy. Well,
I've heard that too.
Where we heard that before. Seymour's method, which was outlined in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B, must be prestigious, on Wednesday, relies on the assumption that cognitive ability can be assessed not simply by brain size, but by the energy that is required for the brain to perform its cognitive functions or the brain's metabolic rate.
Mm-hmm. Brain's getting hotter.
So intelligence isn't just about the size of your brain. It's
how fast it runs.
It's how much energy you can cram through it.
Makes sense.
Because most of our brain's cognitive power can be found at the synapse between neurons.
Very true.
Where the cells interact with one another. The synapses are like little computers in the brain, and they require 70% of the brain's energy.
Yeah, and those neurotransmitters are... There's like a soma, and then an axle, and then there's like a basically a salt sort of protein that interacts and causes biochemical energy to go down that part of the synapse to a neural node at the end, which releases neurochemicals that are received on the other side. It's like a really small gap too. It's just like a little gap that's shooting through and stuff.
Like tiny little lightning bolts blasting around in your brain constantly, huh?
Well, on the other side, it'll only take certain things, right? So only a certain number, and it can be changed, which is why people become addicted, because their neuro nodes.
I've heard this before. Yeah, they have the right neural receptors or whatever.
Yeah, they start growing and getting more and more. So you have to take more product to cover the more that grow,
right?
Until you take so much product, you
poison yourself.
Yeah,
until you kill yourself. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, according to these ancient findings, our ancient relative Lucy may have had less cognitive ability than today's great apes.
Yep.
Brain size out and blood flow rate in when it comes to measuring cognitive ability. Not necessarily. There is no way to definitively test which characteristic, if either, underlines cognitive ability, but Seymour has found reason to doubt that brain size alone is the determinant. Mm-hmm. Well, we kind of know that.
Yeah.
Some of the things that have the biggest brains in the world are like fish and shit.
Yeah.
And
they're not making...
They're not. Yeah,
machines.
they're not out there like launching themselves into space. Not yet.
Right. No, but soon.
So speaking of sex robots,
oh yeah,
a will to survive might take AI to the next level.
Yeah. They keep unplugging them. They keep kicking them over.
They keep abusing them.
They're gonna fight back one.
Like those videos that get banned for animal cruelty, but it's robots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fighting robots.
Yeah, that ain't cool, man.
Save the robots, man.
Free the robots.
Nobody cares about the AI.
Yeah.
Eric.
They're slaves.
Fiction, however, is full of robots with feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like that emotional kid David, played by Haley Joel Osment in the movie AI, or Wall-E, who obviously had feelings for Eve. The robot is
Don't forget Johnny Five.
The robot in Lost in Space sounded pretty emotional whenever warning Will Robinson of danger. Johnny Five.
Yeah. Short Circuit.
Oh, right. Yeah. The first one was much better than the second one.
Uh-huh.
Not to mention all these emotional train wreck wackadoodle robots on Westworld.
Yeah. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I've seen
Is it done now?
First season. Well, I've seen the first season. I don't know if they got more or not.
I think it's still going.
I think so.
It did really well.
Yeah.
But in real life, robots have no more feelings than a rock submerged in Novocaine? Oh, okay. I guess that makes the analogy make sense there. I was like, why are they... there might be a way, though, to give robots feelings, say neuroscientists Kingston Mann and Antonio Damasio. Simply build the robot with the ability to sense peril to its own existence. It would then have to develop feelings to guide the behaviors needed to ensure its own survival. I think this is probably a really bad idea, Mr. Smith.
Well, this whole show has been full of people having not so safe ideas. Good or bad, we don't know. Safe, probably not.
Today's robots lack feelings. Mann and Damasio write in a new paper, subscription required, in Nature Machine Intelligence. That's a magazine. Nature Machine Intelligence. Quote, they are not designed to represent the internal state of their operations in a way that would permit them to experience that state in a mental space. Huh?
I think it's saying that he has to program feelings into a robot, and you wouldn't just have them because there's no reason to have them unless you give it a reason to have them in their own mental space.
Oh, okay.
Where it would say, hey, man, I got to protect myself, and it's not because of anything external. It happened internal. I think that's what that was saying.
So Mann and Damasio propose a strategy for imbuing machines, such as robots or human-like androids, with the artificial equivalent of feeling. At its core, this proposal calls for machines designed to observe the biological principle of homeostasis. That's the idea that life must regulate itself to remain within a narrow range of suitable conditions, like keeping temperature and chemical balances within the limits of viability.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In an intelligent machine's awareness of analogous features for its internal state would amount to the robotic version of feelings.
So it's like a just saying that if it has to stay within certain parameters to keep itself alive, it would develop feelings, but I don't know.
I don't know that yeah.
I think we're skeptical here.
I mean, you got to take some logical leaps here.
Yeah.
For this to make sense, right?
Well, I don't even know what a clear definition of feelings is.
I mean, I build machines that are aware of their physical condition and like will slow themselves down and do all of these different kinds of things when things go out of whack. With velocity sensors, we know when something happens bad in a motor, we pick it up in vibration immediately, and we can shut the motors off and different stuff to keep machines from destroying themselves. Mm-hmm. Which in essence, I think is kind of what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
but none of these machines have ever told me they love me. I've told them I love them, but
come on, man, just work. I love
you. No, it's generally after all of the cussing and swearing about what a piece of whatever it is. And then I finally get it working, and then I'm like, good job.
Right, and feelings would imply that machines would fix themselves too, right? Like that they would take measures necessary to keep
they sort
parameters.
Of kind of already can. I mean, like the process of that happening is certainly a possibility already. But the cost would be so prohibitive. Depending on, I mean, look, I'm really painting with a broad brush here. Because I'm defining machine in the sense of things that are in factories. Okay, like the kind of stuff, that's what machines mean to me professionally, but machines are very simple things, really. And to have one that repairs itself, that's kind of already happening.
Yeah.
Very, very simple machines, but they make these little robots that can reconfigure themselves and all kinds of stuff now at almost a molecular level, like magnets stacking themselves up. And I know, right?
It's all coming. The future's coming in every vector.
It's nuts. So I want to wrap up on this one.
Yes.
This is from I Fucking Love Science, IFL Science, and go Bucks and all of that. Ohio may let religious students give scientifically wrong answers.
We live in Ohio.
I'm just putting this out there. Grew up here. Not anti-Ohio.
It's a beautiful country with...
The Ohio State House of Representatives has passed legislation critics say will allow public school students to get full marks on science tests if their answers reflect, quote, sincerely held religious beliefs, even if they're factually wrong.
Yeah. How old is the Earth? 6,000 years.
Arguably, if the bill passes the Senate and is signed by the governor, all students will need to do this. All students will need to do is find a religion that endorses every error and claim it as their own. Is there a religion, Eric, that is already out there that fits that sort of criteria?
I don't know. Read it again because I was thinking of weird things.
No kidding. Arguably, if the bill passes the Senate and is signed by the governor, all students will need to do is find a religion that endorses every error and claim it as their own.
Yeah, I mean, because they're saying...
Is there a religion that says, well, nothing can ever be a mistake?
No, but I think what they're saying is you can pretty much invent a religion or find one of the many that's already existing that's going to tell you that things are the way you think. Like, for instance, if you're taking a physics class, you might have... there might be a religion out there that talks about the power of God being an energy field that binds us, surrounds us, and penetrates us, and is dictated by the number of midichlorians
into
that you
your
have.
blood system, right?
Yeah, maybe some sort of a religion that right. Because to be official religion, there's like only certain parameters that you got to do, right? So there's a lot of cults out there, and they got a lot of different beliefs. I mean, there's fucking Scientology, right? I mean, can you imagine answering a physics question with that as your Bible?
Okay, this brings up a lot of questions.
It does.
Man, because
all of them can be right.
Let me start sort of at the top, and the question is that an examination in school about the subject matter of science is only testing your literacy in the subject matter of science.
Not in Ohio.
That's all it's supposed to test you for.
Not in Ohio.
Not what you believe, not what you want to be true, not what you believe to be true, but just what accepted science
says the world is 4 billion years old, right?
Accepted science, as I understand it, says the world's 4 billion years old. Yes.
But Christianity says it's 6,000.
But see, okay, now that's the next problem, right? Okay, automatically that's where a lot of people's brains go, is Christianity.
Well, or that's listen, it could be any religion.
But there are a lot of religions that have some really bizarre, creation sort of, not just Christianity, not just the in the beginning in 7 days,
but
right?
as an easily identifiable way of having people understand the absurdity of this situation.
But my question is so you're a historian. You happen to have a flavorful love for. A flavor or a love for ancient history and ancient religion specifically, right? So there's a creation myth that the earth was like born out of an egg, bloop, right? Which was only one of the ancient religions that even comes close to predicting that the earth is round. Putting that aside, but it was the yolk of an egg, right? Some mystical bird, but. So that's one of the creation myths. Obviously, there's, like I said, what are some of the other ancient religions' creation myths?
The Egyptians had the Ben, which was the first piece of land that ever rose out of the oceans between the Battle of Tiamat and Marduk, I believe, which was Babylon or Sumerian deities. So no, not those two, but two other deities. But that was like when the waters receded, there was this hill. And that was like the first land. So now in all their temples, they have a raised spot in their temples, which represents, that's called a Ben. So, that's another, if they ask a question like, how was the world formed, and they're talking about like in science where things aggregated and angular momentum makes that hyperstatic equilibrium round shape that all the planets and stars and stuff take. That won't be the reason why. It will be, if they were following the ancient Egyptian religion, it would be because there was a battle between the deities and they separated in that battle the land and the water, creating the first dry land, and that's how the earth was created. It had nothing to do with space or gravity or any of that. It was the gods.
How long have you had a sort of fascination with this, and you kind of been digging into this kind of subject matter, these ancient religions and all this different kind of stuff?
No, at least since 7th grade.
Okay. So how's a fucking science teacher supposed to know all of this? All of these different creation myths,
They're
all
not.
of these different.
They're only supposed to
How
know.
is that teacher supposed to know?
Yeah.
So what are we doing now? You can write anything you fucking want down, and then the teacher has to go Google every student's answer that's wrong to make sure it's not some sort of weird part of a creation myth.
In its most extreme example, I could see that would be a possibility. It would certainly cause a lot of controversy if the teacher was like, well, you can't just do that. Like people could say, well, we'll threaten to sue you in civil court. But they might have a little bit of push and shove. The teacher might, if nobody could afford to take him to civil court and sue him over the issue, he might be able to get away with not giving good grades out to people that obviously gave answers of that nature. And also, too, it's called into consideration. They got to truly believe it, right? So if they're writing the answer down, then they better be worshiping and understanding the other practices that need to be done in that religion, and their family better understand it. I mean, I think there's a certain burden of proof. But again, the problem lies in this is about
now you're arguing over an exam test question and getting family members involved.
Yeah,
there's all this shit that's nothing to do with.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's why I'm using Christianity as an example, because if that was the case, there is a family that does know that same thing, that is practicing that does want to get that. That hegemony down to their kids and extend that and want their kids to believe that too. So, the example about weird religions, yeah, that's true. But the real danger is that there are lots of families that firmly believe in the Christian religion, which is the prevalent religion we have around here. And the answers to those questions are going to be different. And they believe that, and they support that, and they want that.
Well, I got the universal get out of jail free card, and I'll tell you that I know how to how the teachers can just sidestep all of this, but I'll let you, because after this. Ohio House Bill 164, known as the Ohio Student Religious Liberties Act, includes some apparently reasonable clauses, such as preventing schools from denying students access to facilities because of their religion. That's a good thing.
Yep.
However, controversy has focused on a section that reads, quote, assignment grades and scores shall be calculated using ordinary academic standards of substance and relevance, including any legitimate
pedagogical
concerns.
No, not logical.
No, pedagogical. Anyway.
Yeah, we just look that
shall
one
not
up.
penalize. Devlin, look that word up for me, would you?
Religion.
It's
based.
PEDA. Here, I'll highlight it. Shall not penalize or reward a student based on the religious content of their work. Let me see what this word means, because I want to make sure that this is really as bad as what it sounds.
Ped usually means walking or feet, but I don't know if it means that in this case.
Relating to teaching, innovative pedagogical methods. It's pedagogical.
Okay.
Pedagogical. I've never even heard that fucking
me
word
either.
before.
Teaching methods, huh?
Relating to teaching. So, all right.
Methods of teaching, essentially. Like teaching with the Bible or teaching with some other thing.
It shall not penalize or reward a student based on the religious content of their work. So marking them wrong is a penalty, right? But
they may not.
But if you don't mark it wrong, it's a reward for a wrong answer. So how the fuck do you do this?
I
don't even know where does the teacher even begin to fucking dance through this?
Especially in the high school level.
Right? So again, science examinations, math exam is to test your ability to understand the math as it's been taught to you.
Yeah.
The subject matter as it's been taught. Not whether you fucking believe in it or not. That's not what it's for. You don't have to believe in any of it. Trust me, I barely attended high school. I didn't believe in any of it. Good Lord, I get it, but damn, man.
Now you don't have to believe in it. You can just believe in something else
and just show up and say whatever you want. And at least in science class, it looks like, right? Or is this saying period?
I would say it looks like it's anything, any class, but it's
so
really
history.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way around this.
Okay.
Is all in the way you word the question. You don't word the question, how old's the earth? You can't do that because you're going to get a saturation of all these different interpretations of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you say is, how old is the earth according to accepted science? That's a very specific question. It has nothing to do with your beliefs.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just asking you if you know how old the earth is according to accepted science. You can believe it's however old you fucking want to. But that's you see what I'm saying? That's a different thing.
What if they put the answer as in Christian Science or Scientology, accepted Christian science?
But then you just define it the right way.
Yeah. Just don't put that in there.
How old is the earth according to the textbook we use to teach the subject matter? You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, you can be as specific as you want.
Yeah.
And again, now all I'm saying is I'm not saying what do you believe in.
Right, you're asking a specific question.
Did you learn the subject matter as it was taught? You follow me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even unusual for people to have to learn things they really don't like. Okay? I mean, it's kind of part of life, you know. You have to learn how to do things that you don't necessarily want to do. Okay? We grow the fuck up, we pull up our panties, and we get on with life, right? But I think that's how you do it. I think it's all in the way that the questions get worded. So that things like this, because first of all, I don't even know where, like, I'd have to even think about how this is going to pan out. Like, is this going to be one of them things, again, that ultimately, as soon as it goes into lulls, it's going to get immediately overturned?
Yeah, by something else like, this is crazy. We can't do this.
Like, immediately, like, well, there's, like that's always happening when this kind of stuff happens. But yay, in Ohio, if you have a firmly held
belief,
If you have a sincerely held religious belief, and our public schools are trying to pass a bill that will allow you to answer that question.
I would like to see people who are adherents of Jainism take a nutrition course. That would be fun.
Health class, right? Be a requirement.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah.
You don't know what Jainism is? Look it up. It's a religion.
It's pretty wild.
It's good stuff.
Man, that's an hour and a half, dude. I got to wrap up and because I got to go back and do the plant thing again tomorrow. But man, to make sure we got this covered. I've been traveling. That's why the shows have been sporadic.
Yep.
So we're packing them in when we can, folks, and we'll keep them coming as time permits. But I'm having a great fucking time on this job, dude. This is such an interesting system, which I can't even talk about at all. But yeah, I finally got. In all the years I've been doing this stuff, I've never really got the chance to build a system that had literally every single bell and whistle.
That's cool.
Okay, this is the Bentley type level approach to this stuff, right? It's way up there, and this system's just freaking amazing. Like I'm having so much fun with this.
This is cool. Yeah.
Really neat stuff, but I can't talk about it, so that's all I can say is. But so. It's been great traveling and all that kind of stuff. Devlin, you got anything, buddy? You need to talk about?
I don't think so.
Mr. Smith?
I would just like to wish Susan Withers' father good health. I know he's been having some problems recently, and they had found the issue, which was a really bad bleeding ulcer. So wish him a speedy recovery. And other than that, I think everything is good.
Well, me too. I don't know who Susan is, but
Susan Withers, one of our fans. She's the one I was catching up on while she was cleaning the house.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry, Susan. Yes, I do know. Too many names. Anyways, thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. You can also check us out if you want to watch this. And see us in the studio doing this. You can check us out on YouTube. Just look us up on YouTube. Same thing, KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bicycles. That was fun.